free speech, and yet the need to ensure that there is moderation and there are guidelines and it is a safe space. What's been the experience on that front today? I mean, I remember you saying that whatever's happening in the world is happening on YouTube, and we have active wars currently on in the world at this point in time. We've got situations that have just taken place over the last few days where there is an active call inciting violence, for instance, in different parts of the world. Do you believe that there is a need to perhaps review the moderation community guidelines, the moderation policy? Is there a need to engage actively with regulators, with governments at this point in time around the world? I mean, how do you see the road ahead on this front going forward?
I mean, I think you encapsulated it quite well. I do think what happens in the world happens on YouTube, and what happens on YouTube does influence what happens in the world, and that's why living up to our responsibility here in India, but really globally everywhere that we operate around the world, is my top priority. It's what I will prioritize above everything else, because it is the right thing for us to do, but it is also the basis of the business opportunities, the creator economy, everything that we've talked about. And so we work very closely with our partners in government here in India, but really all throughout the world. And I would say that we have a clear set of community guidelines that we have invested in very heavily over the years. In many ways, we have learned through trial by fire over the years to understand sort of how those community guidelines could be written, how they should be clear. But they are always up for being modified. It's important for us to have clear principles, but then also to be flexible in terms of how we adjust them. Because as you rightly point out, what's happening in the world is changing on a regular basis. And so that's really how I've approached the space. And it's something that's near and dear to my heart. It used to be what I was responsible for even as a chief product officer before I took over as CEO. And it's something, as I said, that I'm going to prioritize both in terms of my time, but also resources at the company before anything else.
The last hour. Anything can happen between the bells. But what happens during the last hour is what matters the most. The biggest market swings. A close-up look at what's driving them and how the investors are reacting. Watch the most seasoned market mavens guide you through the most important hour of the trading day. NSE Closing Bell. At these times, only on CNBC-TV18 and CNBC-TV18.com.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC-TV18 on all of our digital platforms.